In this lesson, we'll add the neck and also the geometry underneath the jaw. So we've got quite a long neck here. Let's go ahead and add that via a cylinder. So we'll go to Create, and we'll create a geometry, piece of geometry, standard primitive, and let's just create a cylinder. Let's go into the top view to draw this out. And let's just roughly draw that in, and we'll give it a little bit of height. And then we can go into the Modify panel and change that however we want to change it. I'm going to go ahead and pull that over along the origin. All right, and so let's go ahead and drag this up a bit higher. I want to make sure that the number of sides is set to 20. Okay, so I've got that set, and we don't really need to worry about the cap segments, so I'll leave that at 1. The height segments we can take down maybe a few, maybe 2 or 3 through 4, something like that. Okay, now what we can do is just kind of scale this and rotate it into a rough position. So kind of go right in here. Okay, we can change our reference coordinate system to local, and we can scale that out. Give it a little bit more length there. Okay, and so once we've got this kind of roughly placed, we can now convert this to an editable poly. So we can modify the shape a little bit better. So we'll go ahead and say editable poly, and then we can come in here on these edges, select the loop, and just scale these down uniformly and move those to match up with the artwork that we have. Okay, so I'll select this loop, and let me just select all those vertices and pull those down, and maybe move those in. Go ahead and change back to our view, reference coordinate, and get those placed something like that. Okay, we just want to kind of just block those in here. So we'll go ahead and scale this down as well, and then translate and move this over. And then this can be our base, so we can kind of scale that up a little bit and move it down into where the shirt would be. All right, so once you get it to this point, we can then come in and a polygon selection, get rid of some of these polygons that we don't need. So we don't need the top and the bottom. So we'll go ahead and delete those. And we also don't need any of the polygons on this side since we're just building this half. So we'll go ahead and get rid of those. And so now what you're left with is just sort of a half cylinder for the neck. All right. So now what we can do is actually make this part of this piece. Right now they're all separate, and if we want to be able to connect these, we first need to attach them. So go ahead and select the face, choose Attach under the Edit Geometry rollout, and choose the neck. Okay, we unclick on that, and you can see now they're one piece together. So they're not really connected as of yet, but they are one piece. So now what we can do is come in here and maybe select this edge and this edge, and just bridge between there to connect that back to the back of the head. Okay, now under here, what I'm going to do is go ahead and take this edge. So I'll take this edge on the front of the neck and this edge on the front of the chin, and let's go ahead and do a bridge on that, and let's add 5 segments. Okay, and you can see in the side view that this goes straight across, which is not really what we want. So let's go ahead and take those edges and just kind of pull them down here. You can look at this from the side and see what sort of result that you're getting, and just kind of match that up with the line of the jaw there. Go ahead and pull that down, something like that. All right, and if you want to modify the shape of this neck, if you want to maybe pull it up in under the jaw a little bit more, you could do that. Modify any of these points here that we have on the side, and just from the side, not really messing with the cylindrical shape, just kind of tweaking that a little bit. Okay, so now let's go ahead and let's move 2, 1, 2, and then the third edge here, let's go ahead and bridge that with the base of the jaw. So let's go ahead and bridge that, and this time let's just do 2 segments. And we'll say OK to that, and that gives you something like that. So we're starting to get this connected up to the neck. Let's worry about this little area right in here now. So I'll go ahead and maximize the viewport. And so what I want to do now is I can come in And for instance, take these two edges and these two edges. Let's do a bridge there. You can see how that bridges right across there. You can see that if I select that vertex, it's actually welded together. So we don't need to worry about doing all of our welding. Okay, let's go ahead and do the same thing down here. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. Go ahead and bridge those. Okay, with again 2 segments. And now this last little piece, we'll go ahead and select that border and just cap that. Okay, and then we can take that little point there and just move it out. Okay, and you want to kind of pull it up so that it's not going to create any strange artifacts when we smooth this out. And we'll just kind of smooth things here a little bit. So that'll give you your geometry, and you can see that that is, right at the origin there. So when we mirror this, it's going to mirror over to the other side like it's supposed to. And it's now connected up with the neck that we have. Now, as we go on, we might need to create a little bit more resolution here under the neck. We can do that very simply by just selecting that edge ring, and again, doing a connect. And if we run the settings, we can actually slide that up and down. And then if we just scale this in the Y, we can kind of tighten that up a little bit. If you scaled it uniformly, it's going to tend to come off of the origin, which we don't want. All right, so now that we've got the neck kind of blocked in, as well as the geometry underneath the chin, underneath the jaw and the chin, the next thing that we want to do, I think, is go ahead and block in an ear. So we need to get that ear in there, and we can block that in with some primitive geometry that we're going to modify, and then come in and start to connect that up. So just take a look at the pieces that you're building, and there may be primitives or ways of building things that match that particular piece. You can build it and then go ahead and combine those later, which is kind of what we did with the neck, and we'll do that again with the ear as well. So let's go ahead and continue on by working on the ear in the next lesson.